Good morning, IED students, or afternoon, depending on when you have class today. We're going to be walking through Activity 3.4 Linear Dimensions. There are two documents available for you in Classroom. The first is the Dimensioning Guidelines document. That is just a Word document resource of everything we've taken notes on so far. So it's a one-pager of the 16 dimensioning rules, and that is available for you. We also have Activity 3.4 Linear Dimensions. So I'm going to walk you through how to complete this activity today, and then you can complete it before the due date. Now, looking at this dimensioning guidelines document, this is a one-page document that has the 16 dimensioning rules. You have this in your notes. You may have some visuals in your notes. If you prefer your notes, use them. Totally fine. In the event that you don't have your notes with you today for some reason, or this just is a little bit neater for you, feel free to use this. Either is an option. Now, looking at the Activity 3.4 for linear dimensions, you're going to be identifying dimension errors based on the dimensioning guidelines. So for the next few drawings, you are going to look at the drawings. We're going to circle errors and place different letters next to them to represent them, and then explain what the error is. So if you look at this drawing, I'm going to walk you through this in the video today. So what we have is we have a multi-view drawing that has dimensions on it. Some of these dimensions are incorrect. So we are going to identify where the dimensioning errors are. We're going to label them with a letter, so one of these letters down here. We're then going to say what dimensioning guideline it's violating, and then explain why it's violating it. So we have the number of the guidelines, so this is literally just going to be like 1, 2B, whatever, and then we have our explanation of why it's an incorrect dimension over here. Now, after we do the walkthrough, you have some problems that you're going to do independently. So we have this one. Now, I've already labeled the letters for you, so all you have to do, and then one of them is completed. So if you look here, letter A, right here, it's violating Dimension Guideline 4A and 7. It's a double dimension, and it's on the incorrect side. All right, so you now need to look at letter B, C, and D, and figure out what dimension guideline they violate and what letter they go into. Multiview 3 is also pre-labeled for you, so you're going to do the same thing here. Multiview 4, we have not pre-labeled it for you. So this is where you have to really look through those dimensioning rules and figure out what you need to do and how you're going to put it together to make sure that you're labeling everything. This is going to be a Google drawing, so you're going to, again, right-click, choose Copy. You can then go to Insert, Drawing, hit New, paste it in there, and you're going to use the circle and text tool, just like I did in these, to label and identify your different areas. You then have 3 conclusion questions that you're going to type the answers to in this document, and then you can turn it in. So that's an overview of the assignment. I'm going to pause the video, and I'm actually going to transition into the group walkthrough for multi-view number 1. So during this little transition, make sure you open your assignment in Classroom. Have this video open at the same time so you can bounce back and forth between the two. Make sure you're using the pause button so that way you have time to follow along. You can rewind, that kind of thing, whatever you need to do to make sure that you're keeping up. All right, I'll be back in just a second. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. So hopefully you had time to open your document. If you have not, you need to go and do that now. We are going to walk through where the dimensioning errors are in this item and filling in this table down here. So make sure you're keeping up. If you need to hit pause, feel free to do so at any time. So I'm going to overall look and see at what I have in this drawing and where there might be errors. The first thing that I'm noticing is actually this hole right here. And that is that we are actually violating Dimensioning Rule 16. Dimensioning Rule 16 states that holes should be located by their center lines, which may be extended and used as extension lines. So if you look, this arrow is pointing to this outside diameter, which is fine, but it really should be pointing to the center. And that's actually an issue on multiple of these, but we're only going to identify that once. So I am actually going to copy this. I'm going to go to Insert Drawing and choose New. And I'm going to paste this into Google Drawing. I can actually make this a little bit bigger if I want to, so that way it's easier. I'm going to grab my shape tool, going to grab the circle, and I am going to put a red circle around this dimension. So right now that filled in, so I'm going to change the fill to transparent, the border color to red. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker so it's easier to see. Okay, and I am going to label this with the text box tool. I'm going to make my font bold so it's easy to see and just give myself a capital S, except I want that to be red. Let's change that. S. Okay, so I'm going to hit save and close. I can go back in there as a drawing anytime that I want to, but right now I want to make sure I'm filling in this table as I go, so that way I'm not trying to figure out what I said later. So the dimensioning guideline that violated was number 16, and the reason is that it did not locate the center of the hole. Okay, so that's super simple. So now let's take another look at our drawing. So looking over here, okay, we have a bit of a problem here, and that is that we have a chain dimension to represent the overall height instead of just having one dimension. So I'm going to double click on this, go back into my drawing, and I'm going to grab another circle. I'm actually going to put it around this whole situation over here, and we're going to make it transparent and red, thicken it up. I'm going to scoot it out just a little bit so that way I can see everything. Grab my text box, going to change that to red, and I am going to put this as the letter U. Okay, change my text back to black. Let's change that to red. That is the letter U. I'm going to make it bold so it's easier to see. Okay, so that's the letter U. Okay, so again, this is because we have a chain dimension there instead of the overall height. It's also technically on the wrong side. It should be on the inside of the view. So I'm going to say that this violated Rule 2 and Rule 7. And we're going to say that we need an overall height instead of a chain. Pardon my typo. Okay, now real quick, I'm going to adjust these columns just a smidge because these don't need to be as wide. It'll be nicer if this part is wider. So we're going to work with that. Okay, we need an overall height instead of a chain. Cool, that's identified. Again, looking at letter T, okay, again, I don't have the center of the hole located over here, which I really don't like. And same thing down here. So we're actually going to label these while we're in here and I'm looking at them. So I'm going to label, and I'm going a little out of the order so it matches the document I have in front of me. So transparent, red, make it a little bit thicker. You can use your arrow key to nudge that around. And then I need to get my text tool. And we're going to change this to red and bold. And that's actually going to be labeled letter T. So we're going to hit save and close. Letter T, we're violating Rule 16. The reason is that it needs to locate the center of the hole. Okay, I'm going to adjust these a little bit. So you guys can see that I'm shifting these columns by grabbing that little tool. Just makes it easier to type in and read. All right, and then I'm actually going to use letter AA as that last hole that's in that front view. So let's go back in here, and I'm going to grab my circle. Okay, I'm going to draw this over here, and I know I'm going out of order. That's because I did this activity before I started recording, and I'm trying to match my letters and my numbers to what I have written on my worksheet in front of me. So I apologize that I'm bouncing around a little bit, but we're going to get there at the end of the day. So change our font, and then that's letter AA, save and close. So now I'm going to go down to AA. That's again Rule 16. And again, we just haven't identified the center of the hole. Okay. So now let's take a look here. We also have, okay, so as I said before with the 2 and 7 for the letter U, we also have this guy that's still on the wrong side. This is still, I mean, I know we identified 7 here. But we only said need an overall height. So I'm actually going to get rid of number 7 in there. And I'm going to make letter V number 7. So I'm not going to add another circle here. I'm just going to add another text box because we want these, we always want our dimensions to be on the inside of our views. We don't want them hanging around on the outside. So I'm going to change this. We're going to make this letter V. Okay, and letter V is number 7. And that's that these dimensions are on the wrong side. Okay, again, we always want them to try and be in between the views. It just is cleaner and easier to read as a blueprint. Okay, so taking another look at my drawing and trying to figure out what's where, I'm noticing that we actually don't have a radius marked right here. So how do I know what this curve is? So that's going to be my letter X. So we're going to go in here. I'm going to throw another circle right around this curve. Okay, grab my text box tool and make this red and bold, and that's going to be my letter X. Okay, so down here in the table, letter X, I am saying it violated rule number 3, which is that it was missing a dimension. And the dimension it's missing is the fillet radius. We'll talk about more about fillets and that kind of thing once we get into some 3D CAD drawing, which is coming very soon. Okay, so while I'm looking at some fillet radius issues, I also don't know the radius of these curves up here, and that's a problem. So I'm going to go back into my drawing, and I am going to put a shape around this corner. Okay, we're going to make this one letter W. Save and close. So now we're going to come down to our table for letter W. That is, again, rule 3, and it's that we're missing a dimension, and it's that we're missing that fillet radius again. Okay, that's technically a round because it's on a corner. Okay, so that's our round radius. Nope. Little typo again. Okay, so looking back at our drawing, looking over, what am I missing? Where are things on the wrong spot? Whatever. Oh, I have 2 issues right here. Okay, these are on the wrong side. Remember, we always want our dimensions to be in between the views. So technically, this should be up here. Okay, if we're going to measure this, it should be up here. Okay, so we need to mark those. I'm going to make those Y and Z. So I'm going to grab my shape tool. I'm going to add my circles to them first. Okay, there's one circle. Here's my second one. Okay, and I am going to label these as Y. And I'm going to label this one as letter Z. Okay, so I've got Y and Z. We're going to hit save and close. Now I've got Y and Z labeled. I'm going to come down to my table. Okay, and these are both on the wrong side. So I can put number 7, right, wrong side, number 7, and wrong side. Okay. So according to this table, I have 1 dimension left, and that is this one, because this should actually be right here. Remember that we never put information about something based on its hidden lines or its contour. Okay, so right here, we can tell that this is a rectangle, but it's actually this piece that sticks up right here. So to know how wide that is, we really should have a dimension that goes from this side to this side. So that 2 inches should actually be over here. So that's actually number 5. Rule 5 is that dimensions should be attached to the view that best shows the contour of the feature to be dimensioned. And when we say contour, that means the actual shape. Right here, this looks like a rectangle when really this is a curved edge. So that's why that dimension should be moved down there. So I'm going to come in here to my drawing. I'm going to circle this guy. All right, just like that. Grab our text tool. And that's going to be letter BB. I'm going to make this box a little bigger. Hit save and close. Fantastic. So that's rule number 5. Okay, and that is the should be where best contour is. And in parentheses, I'm just going to put front view because that's where it is. Okay, so realistically, going through here and looking at these dimensioning rules can be a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of stuff that if you don't know how to read a technical drawing yet, it gets confusing. I went through that pretty quickly. Hopefully you use the pause button to your advantage. So you could pause, take a look at things, but I know it's difficult, which is why we've broken these next couple of problems into these bits and pieces. So you are now going to independently work through drawing 2. Okay, and again, I already have these labels put in for you, so just look at where the error is, figure out what rule it goes with, and explain why. Okay, same thing with problem number 2, and then problem 3 is where you have to independently look through rules, but you're going to have 2 problems to practice before that. I think you're going to do just fine. And then please do not forget to answer your conclusion questions. If you guys have questions, you can see me at lunch, as always, or send me an email. All right. Get to work and make sure you turn this in before your due date.